Hey guys, this is Alex Tibison, and today I'll be presenting user story number 2525 from the BreazeHome 4.0 project. In this video, I'll be giving you a brief introduction on the neighborhood amenities feature, and if at the end of the video you have any questions, please feel free to contact me. I'll be displaying my contact info at the end of the video, and if you have any questions about the BreazeHome project as a whole, please feel free to contact Professor Masood Sajadi, who is acting as both the product owner and mentor for BreazeHome 4.0. Now, when we were doing the neighborhood amenities feature, we wanted the user to be able to view the local neighborhood amenities via map view and to compare distances from the property. Another feature we also wanted to include when we were doing the neighborhood amenities was also to be able to display details on select amenities via a list view and display ratings, address, photos, and distance to the property of interest. So all this was in the requirements solicitation. Alright, and we can see this in a use case diagram over here, where we needed amenity view, a map view, and a list view. Here's a more formal representation of the class. We went over the details controller, the amenity service that we were talking about, and how we got the amenities by category. This map service was actually what created the amenities map that we see there. It was something that was already implemented before the BreazeHome 4.0 project, and that we used in this feature. We also have the Yelp categories over here, which actually is a local file that we have saved under the dictionary section of the project. One thing I should mention is that when I was going over the BreazeHome API, a lot of the structure and general idea of how to shape that API was based off of work done by students from the BreazeHome 3.0 project who worked on a feature called Spot Find that also used the Yelp API. Sadly, it was never fully implemented and put onto the production server, but their work was very helpful in creating the API backend for the amenities feature. Moving on, this is actually the sequence diagram of the amenities feature, what's essentially happening when you actually reach the details page and click on an amenity. You actually see that property data is getting obtained when you get to the details page, and that's how we actually get the longitude and latitude values. And when you finally actually click on amenity categories, we're actually making those calls and actually getting the amenity by category over here, as you can see, and returning the amenity list. So here we are on the BreazeHome desktop webpage, and I'll be giving you guys a brief overview on what the neighborhood amenities feature is supposed to accomplish. Now, when we navigate through the website and we actually move towards a property of interest, let's say this property, for example, at the top of the page you can see that there is a link to an amenities section. When you click it, you're brought all the way down to this neighborhood amenities portion of the product details page, and in this section you should be able to view the various amenities around your specific property. So already on the map you can see a marker indicating where the property is on the map, and on the side we can actually see the various categories for different amenities. So let's say we chose accessories. You can see that various markers displaying the accessories pop up. And if we click on any one of these accessories, the map will zoom in and shift so that the marker of the property and the marker of the amenity will always be in the page. Furthermore, if you actually look up here, you can see that right now we have the map view selected. If we click on the list view, we can actually see the specific details of this amenity. So we have a brief little summary of information. We have how far it is from the property, the ratings, current ratings from Yelp, the address, and just the name of the amenity. The name also acts as a link to an actual Yelp page. If I click it, I'm taken to the Yelp page for this amenity. Now I can click and add various amenities to the list, and if I toggle back to the map, I can see they're all selected and they unselect as I click as well. Furthermore, you can also click on different amenity types, such as, let's say, active life, and the previous markers will disappear and the new markers will show up. And like I displayed before, just clicking on them will make the map resize so that you'll always have the marker selected in the map as well as the property marker. So the whole purpose of this neighborhood amenities feature is to display the various amenities in the neighborhood to the user, so they can see what's around the property and compare distances, like I showed you over here, see how far it is from the property, and if they want to look into the amenity even further, they can actually click and the link to the Yelp page. Now that's the brief intro on how the feature is currently implemented on the website. Let's actually go and look at the code a bit. Alright, so currently we're on the BreazeHome development virtual machine, and I'll be going over the various aspects of the code that refer to the neighborhood amenities feature. Now, with relation to the back end, we're going to go to the BreazeHome API. All you need to look at is this neighborhood section and the views. Nothing's being stored in a database. There are no models or tables and nothing of the sort. All we're doing is creating an endpoint in the BreazeHome backend where we actually make a call to the Yelp API. So if you look in this view, you can see there are actually three classes or three API views. There's a Yelp events view, a Yelp search view, and a Yelp business view. Now, the current implementation of the neighborhood amenities feature uses the Yelp search view. What happens is a longitude and latitude variable is sent to this view, and they correlate to the longitude and latitude of the property of interest from the BreazeHome site. And the categories section over here actually relates to whatever category the users actually clicked on in the neighborhood amenities section. Alright, once they click on a category, all this data is sent to the back end, and it searches for amenities within a 1,200 meter radius, and the search results are limited to maximum of 50. Alright, once it gets all this, the data is then sent to the front end where it's parsed and shown to the user. Other sections of this view are pretty straightforward. You have the API key that allows access to the Yelp API. You also have definition that makes the Yelp request, and this piece of code that actually creates the response that's sent to the front end. With that said, let's actually look at the front end. So if you remember from just the demo that I'd shown earlier, the neighborhood amenities feature is located on the property details page. So a lot of the functionality for this feature is located on the details controller, and on the details.html. So furthermore, we also have an amenity service that we created. So let's actually open up the app, go through the scripts, go through services, and in the services we see amenities.js. And the amenity service is fairly simple. Its job is just to make calls to the back end, receive the amenities, and return it to the front end. And it only contains one function, which is called getAmenitiesByCategory. It takes these three parameters: longitude, latitude, and categories, and I've already went over all this before. So this service is fairly straightforward. Makes a call to the back end, gets the amenities, and returns it to the details controller that I'll be showing you right now. So if we actually look at the details controller, in the details controller, this is where our amenity service is called. You have get amenities by category, right? And we actually make the call to our amenity service whenever we click on an amenity type. See this function called amenity click. Alright, and if we jump to the HTML, we can see that amenity click is called right here whenever we actually click on an amenity type. So if you remember from the list, right? Essentially, all these amenity types, whenever I click on an amenity type, I'm essentially calling the function amenity click. So inside amenity click, it's fairly straightforward. You get all the amenities by this get amenities by category, and then the markers for the amenities are set. Over here you can see the amenity markers are set over here, and in this section we actually showed the amenity markers on the map. Alright, and that's all for amenity click. Now there's also a function called Amenity Select. Now this function is called whenever you actually select an amenity, such as this. Right? Whenever you select one. And what's happening here is that you're actually removing the old marker, because if you look here, the old markers are blue with yellow font. So it's removing the old marker and then replacing it with this highlighted marker right over here. Alright, so that's where we see the remove section over here, and right here we actually create the new markers right here. Okay, and in this section we have a toggle amenity function. So whenever actually clicking on an amenity, in addition to actually selecting that amenity, we're actually also setting a variable on whether or not to add it to a list of amenities. Because remember, one of our features is to show a list of the amenities we've selected, and this handles the creation of that list. And over here, this function is also called, which always checks to make sure the list is up to date. And we also have this function being called Encompass Points. And what this essentially does is it ensures that whenever you click on an amenity, these points are always shown on the map. Okay, so the map zooms and resizes itself to ensure that the points are always on the map. And that's basically handled by that function, Encompass Points. So whenever you click on an amenity, all of this is being called. Alright, and this is the amenity list check that I made note of over here, just to make sure the list is current. And then there are various other functions such as toggle map focus and toggle list focus. And all that does is it handles alternating between list view and the map view. And that's the general gist of the neighborhood amenities feature. Alright, all these functions in the details controller are essentially called on the details HTML. Like you can see the toggle list focus and toggle map focus. These are called whenever you actually click on those various buttons on the HTML that I showed before. I already went over the amenity click right over here. Essentially, that's how the functions from the details controller are being called. Okay. That's about it for the intro to the neighborhood amenities feature. Now, like I said in the beginning of the video, if you need to contact me and have any questions whatsoever about this feature, please feel free to reach me at the email indicated right here. You can also reach me via my LinkedIn account, which contains various forms of contact info. And if you have any questions whatsoever on the BreazeHome project as a whole, please feel free to contact Professor Masood Sajadi, and his email is indicated right here.